Yeah, it could just be you doing everyone's voice.
It's just literally talking to herself.
You're like, oh yeah, my community service was terrible.
Why does Noah talk like he has like dentures?
Why does Noah talk like he's got dentures?
He's got a mouthful
I
of
don't sound like
food.
that.
I don't sound like that.
A balloon hanging out of the left side. I don't know.
Alright, so start by telling us your full name and your pronouns.
Okay. My name's Jalaj. I go by he, him.
Okay, first question. This is kind of a broad question, so you can answer it however you want.
Huh.
How would you define yourself as a creative?
I heard, okay, damn. It's a very broad question.
Well, like, for example, if this kind of helps narrow it down. So I feel like people who would be aware of your, whatever it is that you create publicly would probably associate you mainly as a photographer,
Yes.
for example. So
Yes.
that's like a label or whatever. But like, how do you think of yourself as a person who creates?
No, I was thinking in that same way, because, like, yes, on paper I'm a photographer, but then, like, past just, like, my medium or, like, what I use to express myself, it gets more into, like, how I think I create, is how I would try to define myself, and I think I create very sporadically, and I'm all over the place most of the time. I have very little interest in sticking to one subject or one matter. I am exploratory. That's how I would call myself, a creative. I try a lot of different things. I know most people, when, like, you know, photography is my main art form, but at the same time, like, the other things that I'm involved in, like building bikes, I would even call that an art form for me personally, because it feels like it. Like, it feels like I'm putting together a thing from, like, nothing and making something that is functional but also has a form to it. That form is like art. And art, to me, function in art is beautiful. I love when things actually work. It's also why I'm an engineer.
I love that. That's a really good answer. How did you get into film photography?
So I was at this little, like, I guess it was a thrift store / flea shop that just, like, runs like a thrift store. People, like, set up, like, stands and stuff. It's in Henrico. It's right by the Johans. It's called Claire's Oddballs and Antiques. Mm-hmm. You're aware. Nice. Mm-hmm. Love that shop. And I saw this little 8mm film camera, and it was not like a 35mm, like, still film camera. It was like a cinema camera. And I got it because it was like $4, and I was like, if it works, it works. So I got it. It wasn't quite working, but I managed to, like, fuck with it a little bit, and it started to, like, function. It was the spring motor inside that was messed up, so I just, like, put pieces in the correct manner, and it started to work. I found out later it doesn't actually work, but I, like, got so intrigued by its mechanisms and how it functions that I looked up where to buy 8mm film, how it processed, and, like, everything about the camera. Like, you know, there was manuals online, and I put it in there, tested it out, and it was working. I thought it was working. It wasn't actually working. It captured a completely blank roll of film. But I took it around with me everywhere and just, like, captured, like, shit that I thought was fun. And after I found out that the roll was completely blank, I don't know why, I was like, okay, well, let's try something else. So I, like, was just on Facebook Marketplace and saw somebody had listed this Minolta Maxim 5000 for, like, $75. And I said, that seems fun to do. And at that point in time, it was a pandemic, and I had, like, given up on my main form of photography, which for a very long time was concert photography on digital, and then for a little while I was doing astrophotography also on digital, and both those things started, like, really wearing me down. I was stressed out because of the concerts. I was, like, tired because of all the long driving and overnight stays for the astrophotography. So at that point I had stopped shooting, but I was missing shooting. So, like I said, I'm exploratory, so I was like, film is something I can do, and I've seen people shoot film, and there was a lot of creatives around me that were shooting film. So I decided to pick that up with the Minolta. That was a really fun camera. I think I sold it because it broke in my bike accident.
Oh.
Yeah. It didn't break fully. The viewfinder, like the LED shows like what the aperture is and what the shutter speed is, and that no longer showed the aperture or the shutter speed, but the camera functioned fully. And at some flea market, I was like, please take this for $20 or something, and I sold it to, actually it was Dylan's Market at Oregon Hill. And then I saw the girl like a little while later, and she never used the camera, but it's whatever.
I have a couple follow-up questions to that. When you bought the cinema camera and you were walking around filming things, did you, I guess as a two-part question, one, had you ever done like any video work before? And two, when you were doing that, like, did you have some kind of concept as to like what sort of moving films you wanted to make, or?
So I've shot some music videos for a friend of mine. I've done that as far as like video work goes. I haven't really done a lot of video work, and I had no idea what in my head was what I was trying to do with that 8mm. I just like, it was cool. It looked cool. It made whirring sounds when I like shot with it. So I just had a fun time. I just took it around places and pointed at people, and like I would shoot. When we were out, like, when we went to New York one time, so let's just shoot us doing things in New York. Everything was blank. It didn't amount to anything, but it was just, like, the act of it was really fun to do. And that was, I think, the first time I realized just, like, the physical act of photography, not the photos, should be fun as well. And I had forgotten to enjoy the physical act of shooting something for a very long time, because I got so stressed out doing concert photography in a big crowd, and everyone's like yelling and pushing you around and shit. And then astrophotography, it's pitch black dark, and you're not really shooting, you just press a button and you let it go for 30 minutes straight. And then most of the work is sitting in front of a computer and stitching it together. I started to hate that.
So I was going to ask you, as one of the questions that I had written down, if you ever shoot digital, because I don't feel like I really see that in the work that you share now, which obviously you did used to do some with concert and astrophotography. Do you shoot any digital anymore?
I think a handful of times I've shot it for like concert photos for a few friends of mine, just because every once in a while people will still request me to come shoot shows for them, and very rarely I'll be like, okay, that's okay, sure, let's do it, like, let's see what happens. And they're usually good, but I have realized I don't prefer it at all. I no longer enjoy digital photography at all. I probably might later on in the future, but in this moment, not worth my time.
What were your first photos?
My first photos. Okay, so I bought this really cheap Nikon D40, again off the Facebook Marketplace. And I just started walking around with it. So some of my first photos, I actually remember this one photo I took of this car, like this like really old looking car that was like driving by me, and I was just walking on the street in the museum district, and as it walked by me, as it drove like around me, it was taking a turn and I was crossing the street, I just like shot it, and this old couple was like looking at me shooting their car. That was some of the first photos I had. I still have them. They're all in Lightroom. I have like backups and archives of everything I've ever shot.
That's awesome. So some of these questions I'm asking everyone, and then some of them are questions that I wrote specifically for the person that I'm interviewing. And I feel like this question, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is like the 5th question I came up with, and I feel like this question is very like specific to you, because I just imagine that you have to have an answer to it.
Yeah.
Do you have any hidden talents?
Lots.
I figured that you did.
Lots. I have crazy bad ADD.
Okay.
And I, like, you've seen my fun facts and stuff that I post on my story, right? This is all just random shit I come across on my day-to-day. Just like, I'll think, oh, who has skipped the most amount, like, who has skipped a rock the most amount ever? And the answer to that is Kurt Mountain Man Steiner. He skipped a rock 88 times, and it's actually physically impossible to skip a rock any more than that, because of, like, surface tension of the water and, like, the loss of, like, momentum. and a human can't throw a rock faster than how fast that man can throw it. Random fun fact, right? I can pick locks, just randomly. I just decided to learn how to pick locks. I was bored, so I ordered a lock picking kit. It broke eventually, but I can buy another one and pick locks again. I'm good at that. I've worked on my cars like multiple times. I've had to work on my cars, and I just like hate taking things to the mechanic because you have to leave it there and then pick it up later. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just start doing that shit on my own. Did that stuff on my own. I built a speaker, like a Bluetooth speaker before. I can build bikes. I'm forgetting so many things that I can probably do. Yeah,
I mean, the
I
pick
get
lock
bored.
one was honestly like a really good answer in and of itself.
Yeah. I stole this skull from the VCU art. I'm putting this on video, whatever. I stole this skull from the VCU art building because like they don't have any cameras in there, and it was just in this like 5-pin. It was in this glass cabinet with a 5-pin lock on it. And my old roommate, he was a fashion design major, and we would just like go to that building and smoke on the balcony all the time because we were living in the dorms and we couldn't really smoke in the dorms. So while I was there, I was stoned as fuck, and I just had my lockpicking thing on me. So I was like, I'm gonna steal that skull, and now I have it tattooed on my thigh, and I still have it on my shelf.
I love that. So you shoot a lot of what I guess people would call slice of life photography, but then also you've been doing a lot of creative portraiture. So given the fact that like you've got this kind of broad spectrum of stuff that you photograph, what would you say drives your subject matter?
Other artists around me, I'll see people's work and just be so inspired, be like, this is amazing, and I'm sure I couldn't ever recreate exactly how they shoot, but like I don't think anybody can. I don't think its purpose is to just recreate that, but like I always imagined like I sketch a lot, and the way I sketch lately have been like just like taking a look at pictures of people and just drawing faces, because faces were one of the hardest things I could never draw a face right. So I've been like just trying to get the faces right. So at some point I would try to draw it from memory or like make up art or scenes and stuff, and I decided like just mimicking was going to be my best path forward to like at least get my technical ability better. So the way I started to approach photography was almost in the same way, where I can mimic people and I can try to emphasize the things that stand out in other people's art and in my own photos and try to like emphasize those. I already said emphasize twice. And just to see if I have the ability to make things look as good as some people else can make things look, even if it was just different, if it was close enough, or it was like good enough, or it was slightly, you know, different than something I've done before, or I would shoot a little bit differently than I've done before, or I would shoot something else that I've never shot before. I just always want to expand horizons. I don't want to ever sit down and just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, because that would just bore the absolute shit out of me.
What inspired the clown portraits?
There's this book called The Half by Simon Anand, and I saw it on a shelf somewhere. Yeah, it's just on a shelf somewhere. I didn't buy it. It was really expensive. It was like $60, and I was like, I'm not buying this right now. But I was just flipping through it while like my friends were also looking through the other things in the store, and there's this portrait of, I always forget this artist, no, like this actress's name. For some reason I'm thinking of Greta Thunberg. I don't know why. Either way, there's this portrait of this person, this artist, and the half is like a bunch of portraits of many different like Broadway actors and actresses, and the half stands for like the last half hour before they go on stage. So they've gone through the makeup and they're like done all the things, they're prepared, they're about to go on stage and do this thing. So Simon would go around and shoot their portraits, and these are some really famous actors as well. and he would shoot their portraits in full makeup forms and stuff. And this one image of that one actress that I can't think of the name of right now was so cool, and it just looks so amazing. And it wasn't really a clown picture, really. I don't think the makeup she had was a clown. I think it was meant to just be like, you know, old 1800 style like cinema makeup, but like French cinema makeup. But it was so intriguing, and like I just like saw for some reason just like a perio clown, and I was like, I want to merge these two things together, these ideas together. And clowns have just been like funny to me. I was never afraid of clowns. I know a lot of people are afraid of clowns. I was never afraid of them. I never thought they were like creepy or anything like that. But then turning it on its head and making it sad, like the idea of taking a clown, something that's supposed to be funny and like humorous, and making it look sadder and more solemn and somber, just felt intriguing. And then I just tried it. That was one of the things I just like. It was like, I am never gonna know if I'm gonna enjoy something if I don't try it first, so I might as well try it.
What do you want people to feel when they look at your work?
I don't think I've ever thought about what other people feel when they look at my work. I do think about if my work is good a lot, but I've never thought about someone else's emotional reaction to my photos. Not because I don't care. I'm sure it's like I imagine people have some sort of emotional reaction. I'm not sure if it's my business to like not care, but like to try to imagine what somebody else is gonna think, because I don't know anybody else's like my own. So I have emotional reactions to my photos, but apart from that, I can only guess, and I don't ever really try to guess.
This is also kind of a broad question, so I think I'd actually like for you to just interpret this however you want, because you could go kind of broader or more specific with it. But how would you describe your creative process?
Slow and haphazard. Slow because, sorry, Winston. Slow because I take forever to like fully process an idea. Like I'll have an idea for maybe a few months before I'm like, okay, now I feel like I've thought about it enough and I have visualized it in my head enough, and I have set myself to this thing enough where I can start pursuing it. Like the clown thing, I probably was thinking about it for 6 months before I actually shot the first image. I just had that one picture of that one actress saved on my phone forever, and I kept showing it to my friends. I was like, look at this image, look at this picture, it's so cool. Haphazard because like I'll never like plan things out well. It'll always be like a little bit of a, okay, well, I'll come up with like different things that I might want to try along the way while I'm still just thinking about it. I'll let an idea fester in my mind for ages before I do anything about it. Marinate it even, just because I don't think I'd ever come up with something brilliant just like that. I always like to ponder and think about it and really keep pushing myself to add on to it or change it or adapt it in any way possible to just make it a little bit better than when I first thought of it. My first ideas are never that fun or never that cool. It's also the same thing as like when I'm at my job, like my first few designs are terrible, and it'll be bullshit until I get to like the third or fourth or fifth, and I'll be like, okay, I'm getting somewhere, and I'll make something that works really, really well. But the first ones are always trash.
Who or what inspires you?
Too many people inspire me for me to list all of them. Everyone in Gloucester, so many photographers in Gloucester, so many different painters and so many different actors and filmmakers and various. As far as what inspires me, boredom. Not having something to do like pushes my mind to come up with things to do. and like ideas to pursue. I never like being bored. Like it shows up in other parts of my life all the time. Just because like random shit, like I'll look up things when I'm free or bored or something, just because I'm curious. I just hate being bored. Can't sit still.
What is your dream project?
My dream project. Oh man. For the longest time, for almost 2 years, I spent so long trying to photograph a meteor, like a shooting star, in full focus, center of the frame, just like, bam. I eventually got it, and as soon as I had that picture, I stopped taking astrophotography. But like in reality, I really, really wish I had the energy, the time, the equipment to like get back into it and shoot a meteor shower or a meteor storm in like the way I see other people shooting them, like the way I see proper astrophotographers shooting them. I would love for that to happen. I don't think it would, not anytime soon, because the equipment is so expensive, and the cameras, I don't have a digital camera like that, and I don't have lenses like that, and I don't have the ability like that right now. I don't have the technical knowledge of how these people do it. But that, I would say, has been a long time, like, dream of mine to like, really, really get a proper image of. I've been obsessed with space for my entire life. It's just the most gorgeous thing to stare at the stars.
That's cool. What is one piece of art that you think everyone should experience?
One piece of art, like one aspect of art.
Well, like a work of art. Like, what is one like work of
Okay,
art
okay.
that you think everyone should experience?
I see. There are a few films I really enjoy. There's this one called The Last Black Man in San Francisco. I think it was a A24 film. Probably not, honestly. Now that I think about it. I have no idea who made it. I don't know the actress involved. I don't know anybody or anything to do with that movie other than I've seen it a couple thousand times. That's an exaggeration. I've seen it a lot. It's a gorgeous film. It's the way it's shot, the way it's written, emotionally. Movies don't make me cry, books don't make me cry. Well, one book has made me cry. But usually they don't make me cry. I don't, like, react so strongly to things like I've reacted to that movie. Yeah, that's a really good movie.
Okay, noted. And then, last question, what is something that you haven't tried yet that you'd like to?
Maybe theater. Like, some sort. Not, like, acting. Like, not, like, in a film setting. I think theater would be much, much cooler. Acting. Live. That would be very cool. I feel like I'd be good at it. I can tell lies very easily. Very natural at lying. You can thank my parents for that. And I'm really good at, I don't know, I can be eloquent sometimes. I'm not always the best at speaking, but if you give me some time to formulate and, like, really let me practice what I'm saying, I can speak. I think I'd be good at acting. I don't know. I'd give it a shot if someone presented the idea to me or, like, a project to me like that.
Okay.
I tend to be good at a lot of different things that I try, just, like, with a little bit of effort. Some stuff comes naturally to me. I think acting would be like that, but who knows? I could be dog shit. Who knows?
All right, that's it. Say goodbye.
Bye.